The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Monday.
Oh, did you have a good weekend?
Did I have a good weekend?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I survived it. Let's put it that way.
Well, you know, Fall River just got into the fracking business.
Well, yeah, well, some people would say we've been fracked for a long time.
It was one of those water deals that nobody knew about, and now we're finding out that it's going to fracking in Rhode Island. So, again, Fall River the cause of, you know, ecological damage.
Yeah. God.
Not like we're not already in enough problems.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess there was a little controversy about the highway across the walking path there.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what they kept saying.
They said they've known about it for a year, but nobody ever knew. Well, what's new? But I mean, that's the ironic part about it. Is like, what is that news in Fall River? Not anymore. Nobody ever knows anything until it actually happens.
Yeah, I talked about that a little bit in the weekend flush about the bait and switch.
Yeah.
You know, Will Flanagan and the state said no. Sam Sutter and the state said no. Jazel Correa says yes, the state says no, but Jazel slips it under everyone's nose. Even prior to the city getting full ownership or title to this rail trail. Now, there was some arguments about this is going to go across 195 and da-da-da-da. No, it's not. It's on that side of 195 already. There is no going over 195. So that road that they want to build from Brighton Avenue, and I saw where the cut is, it actually drives right over the road. So that road's going to be, the rail trail is going to be gone because that road's going to have to go over that. And it is going to cause such ecological damage and some major safety issues. And the state says they didn't do the curb cut. They didn't do the cut to get into that area. Well, then who did it?
That's state.
That's a state road.
State road, so. You know, who has authorization to do the state cut except the state?
That's right. And if they didn't do it, who did it? And whoever did it,
it's a secret.
It's another
like
secret.
Everything else is. We got to keep it. You know, you remember what Kathy Ann said in front of council when they asked questions on other things? I can't tell you that.
I can't tell you.
It's only taxpayer money we're spending. It's like this. It's a big secret. Nobody gets to know. It's just like now. Well, are we going to have it or aren't we going to have it? It depends. It's still before the election, so we have to wait to see until after the election.
Right.
Then after the election, everybody will say, "Ah, to hell with it. We got 2 years now. Oh, well, let's not worry
about it anymore and let the road go through." That's what's going to happen.
Let there be a road.
That's
even
right.
Though 2 other mayors said no.
So let it be written, so let it be done.
So they said no, I said yes, then I said no because it might get me some votes. Then I'm going to say yes, then who knows at the end. At the end, it will be done. So let it be written,
but, you know,
let it be done.
The gentleman who wants to put in this road, Carrig, he not only did that, he did it to the St. Vincent's farmland. He acquired that by paying off the mayor. Because the mayor sent back the money to buy the land to have it for a working farm. So again, the mayor put his own self-interest before the wants or needs of the people. So now we have a whole bunch of houses going in there instead of having a working farm.
Well, you know, that's the whole key. It's in Fall River's a great place to do business if you've got enough money to give
to
people.
Pay off the politicians.
And because look, you know, normally when developers come in and if they look at a parcel that's set back off a access, but there's no access to it, that's a consideration. They have to make sure that there's not a problem with easements and to create not in Fall River. They just, hey, we don't care where it is. We'll build a road for you. Just come in, give me some money, and, you know, don't worry about it.
Right.
You know, Fall River is, you know, we're easy. That's it. You know, you give.
We're easy and sleazy.
Easy and sleazy. We give you some money, and just, you know, we don't care. Build a thing, you know, a quarter of a mile off the road, and we'll just build a road over everybody's land. The hell with it.
That's right. That's right. You know, because that's just the way it's done in Fall River. This kid thinks he's, you know, the reincarnation of Buddy Cianci. I don't know.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. But you know, I think Buddy actually was a little bit more transparent. I mean, how many times have we seen, and how many issues have we seen that we find out that 6 months or a year before this thing was in the works, and nobody heard about it until it broke. And then sometimes we don't hear about it even when we're asking, because we get the, we can't, top secret, classified. You know, we're spending your money. By the way, the city doesn't have any money. Just for the people who want to defend the action, they don't have any money. City doesn't go to work every day and earn a paycheck.
That's right.
They're not spending their money. Anytime the city spends money, they're spending taxpayer money. They're spending your money and my money. And so let's not say, well, you know, they can do that. No, they're not supposed to. We're supposed to be in the loop. But then again, this is one of we have our new charter. We should put it: a government of the politician, by the politician, and for the politician. Because why should we ask?
That's
Even
right.
though every document that this country ever created says that the people should control the government, in Fall River, the government controls the people.
I spoke about that this weekend, in the Weekend Flush, and you know, people are reading it, because now, you know, the Vote No on Charter routine is really it's going viral on Facebook. People are all talking about voting no on this charter because it's taking away the rights, it's making it more difficult to do things. It's not, and they're even starting to vilify now the charter commissioners, the 8 charter commissioners who did this.
Yeah. Well, look, and we get back to the bottom line, the first point, as we've said on the show. There are so many things wrong with this charter. It takes so much power, removes it, and gives it to politicians, which is no good for anybody. And secondly, you know, the reality is that this isn't what we voted for.
That's right.
We look at the question and you know, I will be perfectly frank. I voted for a charter revision. I didn't vote for a new charter. And as I said on one of the shows, and as I said on the radio when they interviewed me, if you were going to put on a ballot that we were going to get a new charter, I would have signed on only if we got the vote on it, because I've always been in favor of the Worcester Charter.
Right.
I think Worcester's got the best government set up in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, because what have you got? You got a city manager. The mayor is what all mayors are, but they actually call him that. He's a figurehead. He's like the Queen of England.
That's right.
You know, it's a ceremonial position. He gets peanuts, right? He gets peanuts. That's right. Cut ribbons and wave.
That's
it.
You
know, like Queen Elizabeth.
That's right.
Drive down the street, wave at everybody.
That's right.
But the city manager is exactly what a city needs. It's a person who's hired to manage the city. If he doesn't manage the city properly, you fire him.
That's right.
You fire him. There's no big political deal. It's like, okay, you're a city manager. You're not managing the city. You're gone. And
Fudge, bye-bye.
If you read virtually every law, if you decide to go on mass.gov, go to the Massachusetts General Law section, and you'll read in virtually every law that's written in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it says, you know, for all areas of the Commonwealth except Worcester.
Except Worcester and Boston.
Except Worcester, and Boston's just because it's Boston.
Right.
They make the rules, but they're the opposite. They're the antithesis of Worcester.
Right.
Worcester's got a government that basically has a city manager, and everybody else is, you know, they have their place in the government. I would have been in five. Boston is the bastion of political. They get everything, and well, that's not only
it's the Irish in them. That's why.
Everything in politics, and even Boston firefighters have their own set of rules that are completely different than the rest of the state. as far as promotional exams and how, you know, and how experiences can be, you know, they basically set their own rules. But, you know, Fall River is just, it's just, you know, this charter is a mess, and it's ironic because last week I was watching I was flipping through the channels, and I ran into a little political kind of debate thing, and they had a guy who worked for the Republican National Committee, a very high-powered, worked for former presidents and stuff, and they had a former Democratic congressman, and then they had somebody who was a political writer, and they were talking about gerrymandering. And that's changing the borders for your own benefit. And we always talk about how politicians always take care of themselves. And it was really refreshing to see a Republican and a Democrat and someone who is a reporter who's supposed to be semi-neutral. The three of them all agreed on one thing. The Supreme Court is hearing a case on gerrymandering, because even though the Supreme Court at one time said, we don't want to touch this, this is political, it's affected the political landscape so much that the Supreme Court may try to stop it, because you know what they all three agreed on? Forget about the party. Whoever's in power, and this is what they said, and listen to this, because this really rings true. They said, the politicians are picking the voters. What that means is they change the borders. If you're a conservative, affluent guy, you gerrymander the borders to get the majority of voters who have your same political stance, which basically assures your re-election. Just like this charter puts the power in the hands of politicians. So the moral of that story is, you should not give them more power. They should have less power. And as we said before, a wise man from our colonial period once said, you know, people should not fear government. Government should fear the people, because we're the people who are supposed to run government. And when we allow a charter or things like gerrymandering to allow the politicians to make the rules, you know who the rules are going to be in favor of. Not you, not me, but them.
Of course, of course. Hey, did anyone get any comic relief this weekend? Mark Dion's column was hysterical.
Oh, yeah, it really was. It really was.
Mark Dion's column was absolutely hysterical. I loved it. I thought it was great. Some people say, you know, it was hateful. But, I mean, you know,
hateful?
just, yeah.
Why? It was comical.
I thought it was comical, too.
Why is everything hateful when they're, you know, if it's somebody you dislike, you say, boy, that thing's right on. If you you know, that's the whole thing. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. You know, that it's politics. You know, I really like this one. You know, do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Former mayor.
I have to. If you
are you kidding?
If you haven't read it, please
read the column.
Please read it. Yeah,
it's really funny.
Yeah, I loved it. You know, at the end, Macy, I object. On what grounds? Mr. Fiola is ignoring the fake news about an FBI investigation that he spread before my client spread the fake news about Frohead being insolvent. Overrule. Fake news is always admissible as evidence. Where do you think we are? Some communist country? This court will now take a 2-hour recess. Attorneys with questions or enough money to buy a round can meet me at the bar across the street.
I like the other one about...
Fiola, I'm buying.
Yeah. Attorney. Now, Ms. Viveris, when did you first become aware that Frohead wasn't paying rent? And I like the title they gave her, Fall River City Math Czar. Viveris Math Czar, yeah. Yeah, it may have been during my time on the city council, or during one of my runs for mayor, or when I ran for board of selectmen in Westport. Maybe it was when I became a valued city employee. Can you repeat the question? I tell you, that's just a little bit of an excerpt. It is really funny.
It's funny, and you really got to read it. And, you know, I know some people took umbrage.
Well, it's nice that somebody remembered that she actually moved to Westport.
That's right.
Changed her political designation, ran in Westport. Then when she got beat, she moved back to Fall River. And
ran again.
And ran again. So
and got beat.
To say that she's not, you know,
persistent,
a political, someone that's well entrenched in a political system, she's, you know, she is.
On Friday during our show, Jay Ash came down from the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development to award Fall River $2.5 million in Mass Works Infrastructure Program. We got that not because the mayor worked on this. We got this because, number one, we're a compact city. That's the first thing. And secondly, because of all the redevelopment that occurred down by the South Coast Marketplace, Ken Fiola had started this process. Let's give credit where credit is due, because you already know the mayor's saying, I got us $2.5 million to fix Canning Boulevard. Okay? The MassWorks grant provides money to Commonwealth cities and towns seeking funding for infrastructure to spur economic development and job creation. This all occurred under Ken Fiola. The road project will span from the current main entrance to South Coast Marketplace, constructed by CEA Group near Newton Street, north to Tucker Street near Rhode Island Avenue, and will include the reconstruction of Canning Boulevard, reconfigured traffic signals, replacement of approximately 70% of the sidewalks, and a component for flood relief and stormwater runoff. So, this developer is getting a new road on the taxpayer dime, not like he hasn't already gotten over $30 million from the city of Fall River. You know, I've seen developments like for casinos where they put in all new roads because it makes perfect financial sense to them.
Yeah, they're doing it right now in Tiverton.
That's right. But this guy here wants to get everything he can for free on you, the taxpayer's dime. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do it either if I was in his shoes. Because if you're dumb enough to give it to him, hey, far be it from me to stand in your way. But at least Canning Boulevard will now be less looking like Fallujah than it has in a long time.
Well,
but,
you know,
but the mayor has this grandiose idea that he's going to get this done by June.
Well, I know in Tiverton they've stopped. They wanted to work round the clock.
Yeah.
So they've delayed the opening of that casino
3 months.
3 months.
Yep.
Because the town of Tiverton said they don't want their residents, you know, being kept awake all night with heavy construction going on through the night. So they're going to delay it 3 months. But they are doing it, and they are, you know, it is being done. But look, this is what government's great at, throwing money. And these grants and stuff, look, everybody says, oh boy, that's terrific. And it is. It's good. But remember what they are. All the contractors working on this thing, maybe not for the casino, because they truly look at saving money because it's money out of their pocket. But when it comes to state-funded anything, they throw grants at people, and the people who get the jobs get the work. It's not coincidental. If you follow the money, they're all major campaign contributors to, you know, high-ranking politicians. I mean, that's the reason that there's always construction on the roads. It's not that, look, you know, let's be realistic, people. I mean, you know, we talk about this stuff, and they built an Autobahn in Germany, and they don't have to work on those roads for like 30 or 40 years. And they've got much harsher weather in Bavaria than we have here, even in the harshest winter. It's really bad out there. But if you go and drive on the Autobahn, where you can go 180 miles an hour if you want, there's no speed limit. They actually have less accidents than we do because it's very strictly enforced. If you're in that outside lane, you got to be flying. If you're in the middle lane, you can do like 100, and then you've got the other lane for the people that are driving like turtles.
But grandma speed.
But the reality is that you look at the Autobahns in German engineering, like it is with their cars, the BMWs and Mercedes and
Volkswagen.
You know, Volkswagen, yeah, the people's car. You know, their engineering is a marvel. What do? The Autobahns are like, I forgot how thick they are. I saw a documentary one time on the Autobahn about, they're like 10 times as thick as our roads. But they don't need any maintenance because guess what? It's not a political It's not a political sport for where construction is part of the payback that people get. And that's what it is in reality. We look on the federal government, we look who gets the government contracts to manufacture goods. We look at it on this area. If you look at the paving in Fall River, you'll see, if it's city paving being done, I will bet you won't see more than 1 or 2 companies all the time.
LAL and Bizco.
That's right. Yay, good guess, CJ. Good guess. And why? Why is that? They're always the low bidder? I don't think so. There's probably some newer companies, smaller companies that would bid and probably come in a little lower to try to get some work. But that doesn't happen. But again, you know, it's going to get repaired and it's going to be nice. But just remember one thing: we're paying extra. That's the reason that they don't want to give us tax holidays and.
But we can give them pay raises.
Well, they get their own pay raises. Oh yeah, that brings me to a question. I got a call just before I came on a show that they were apparently, I don't know if it was at the new marketplace or not, but somebody was looking for signatures to reduce the sales tax or something like that. There were people out there looking at signatures, but they weren't sure whether it was a Rhode Island people or Massachusetts people. So I have to tell the people who are getting there, if you're doing it for Massachusetts, don't waste your time, because we've already done that.
That's right.
We've already tried to reduce taxes in Massachusetts, and our legislature gave us the big, not the thumbs up, but you know what finger up.
Yeah, but the thing was, is that question there was a referendum question.
Yeah.
It wasn't a binding question.
It doesn't make any difference. They find a way around it.
Well, I know, but
no,
personally, I think that they should take the taxes back to 5%. But not only that, you know that surtax that the cities get to apply, that can't be applied either.
Yeah.
Its maximum rate is 5% on food, lodging, and sales. Yeah. End of story.
Don't ever think.
Don't ever
think that we will get our way because right now we need to, you know, as the guy who wrote that book, we've got to drain the swamp. We've got to get them all out of there, because the fact is that, look, many years ago we voted on a death penalty, and that was a binding.
That's right.
Referendum, and the state voted in favor of the death penalty. And what happened? Because the governor and the powers to be were not in favor of it, they reconsidered the vote, and they flipped a couple of people, and that was overridden by 1 or 2 votes.
Yep.
And so they just reconsidered it. It didn't matter that the people wanted it. The legislature overturned it.
Oh, you mean like they're trying to do with the marijuana thing, where they're trying to put in more restrictions?
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, and why? How did they do that? They use that con like they're trying with the
bait and switch, baby.
Oh, you know, don't forget, your rep represents you. No, he doesn't when he's voting against what I told him. You know, a rep can go up to Boston and vote the way he wants, as far as I'm concerned, if nobody gave him a call. But when his district voted in favor of a death penalty or anything, they sent him a message.
That's right.
The people you represent, this is the position we want you to take. And when somebody takes a reverse position based on their own personal opinion, they should not be up there.
No.
They are totally entitled to their opinion. But they should not be our representative, because you're supposed to represent the majority of the people. It's like when you go into a meeting and you have an opinion and you propose a motion, and if the motion fails, you've got to grin and bear it. You lost. Now, when the people of the district voice their opinion on a ballot, and any of their representatives decide to, up and including the governor, and I had this conversation with former Governor Dukakis, and the fact is, as far as I'm concerned, they should get out of political life, because they've forgotten that it's their job to represent us and be answerable to us.
Well, you know, while you're talking about the governor, you know how the mayor is constantly touting that he has a great relationship with the governor and the lieutenant governor, Karen Polito. Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to tell you how great your relationship is with them. I have a list of something that you probably don't want. I have the list of the 26 cities and towns, the 26 locations endorsed by the governor and the Commonwealth for the location of Amazon HQ2. Suffolk Downs, the South Boston waterfront, the Harrison-Albany corridor, and the Alston-Brighton to South Station corridor in Boston are each pitched separately. Everett's ExxonMobil site, Patriot Place in Foxborough. Boy, I wonder what the Patriots are going to say about that. A regional proposal from Lawrence, Haverhill, Andover, Methuen, North Andover, centered around Osgood Landing. Riverview Business Park and an adjacent campus in Billerica, Tewksbury, and Lowell. A 100-plus acre waterfront property in Lynn. Centennial Park in Peabody.
Peabody.
Quincy's Four River Shipyard. A collection of transit-oriented development sites along the Orange Line and the expanded Green Line, which is slated for completion in 2021 in Somerville. Union Point in Weymouth, Abington, and Rockland. 371 acres in Waltham. Riverfront Park and South Coast Life Science Technology Park in Fall River. A 114 municipally owned site in New Bedford. 146 acres in Taunton. 254 acres in Gardner. Leominster Mall at Whitney Field, 100 Campus Drive in Marlborough, Northborough's Crossroads Business Park, the EMC Dell Campus in Westboro, downtown Worcester, Holyoke Open Square, Graylock Mills and Columbia Mills in Lee, and the William Standing Business Park and adjoining GE properties in Pittsfield. Now, as you notice, these are listed. You notice where Fall River came? Towards the bottom of the list, just above New Bedford. But Fall River doesn't have a chance. We don't, because the way that the RFP was written by Amazon, you have to have an extensive public transit system, high-speed internet service, fiber optic, which our city council has been too stupid to realize. I have presented to 3 city councils to move the utility lines underground. It will generate revenue and will require the cable companies, the phone companies, and everyone to upgrade the system. If we did that, Verizon would have to put in Fios. They would finally put in the fiber optic system that we need, because they're going to take the cables from above ground. And then the poles will disappear. And that's beautification. And that makes sense. But the problem is that they're looking at places like Boston and areas surrounding Boston. They want 100 acres that they can develop and then expand in. Fall River already got an Amazon.
Well, they destroy our economy.
Yeah.
But while this is on here, I got to make one mention because it's always a bone with me. It really disturbs me. It talks about Quincy's Fall River Shipyard, F-O-R-E, 4.
Yep, 4.
And I remember years ago, a guy that was driving a truck came into the station looking for a street, and I said, "There's no such street in the city." And I looked at his bill of lading, and it was for Fall River in Quincy. And so we have many politicians who give speeches all the time, and they always say Fall River. And you know something? It's Fall River. There's an A in there. It's bad enough when you say us and gas, but it's F-A-L-L, Fall River.
That's right.
Not Fall River. It's not Fall River.
F-A-W.
Fall River is in Quincy.
It's F-A-W. It's F-A-W. Remember that.
It's F-O-U-R. Fall River, not F-O-R-E. But it's Fall River.
Fall
and
River.
If you're going to represent the city, at least pronounce the city's name correctly.
But hey, I got to get my gasoline. Oh God! Well, we're at the end of our show, and I'll tell you, it's always a lot of fun here in Fall River.
Fall River.
And hey, remember the debate's coming up Thursday, November 2nd, 6:30, Cuss Middle School. We want your questions. We haven't gotten them yet.
We want the questions. This
Send
is the
those
last
questions.
debate before the election. Let's get it. Let's get some really good ones. You've seen these other debates. There may be some more questions, more pointed questions you want to ask, more specific questions. We look forward to getting them from you. So stay angry.
And remember, we'll see you on Wednesday. If you got a tip, give us a phone call. The number will appear at the end of the credits. Have a great week.